What is up, YouTube? I need to start calling these videos Figure It Out, and then whatever it is we're figuring out. Because it looks like I've been skipping out on Fridays here lately, but I've just been busy working, and sleep is very important. But for this Figure It Out Friday, whatever you want to call it, I'm gonna go over the trip meter, the odometer that you can set for different trips. Now, luckily, I don't know about your trucks, but every truck might be different. But my truck has 4 different trip meters, and I'm gonna go over how I use each, how I use the trip meter. So we got A, B, C, and D. Now, for the first one here, I like to use it for every time I stop. So if I stop to go to the bathroom or I stop to get some food, I always reset this one. As you can see, I drove 226 miles, without stopping. But now I'm here parked, I'm gonna clear it out. Bam. The second one I like to use for what I've done for the day. So this is what I've done during my whole shift today. And since I'm shutting down, well, guess what? That one gets cleared out. C, I like to keep as what I'm dispatched on. So every time I'm dispatched, I reset this one. I'm not going to reset this one because obviously I'm not done with my dispatch yet. But every new dispatch, I reset my 3rd trip meter. This kind of helps me keep on par with where I'm going. The 4th one here, it depends on what my mood is. I switch back and forth. The 4th one I usually use for my fuel. So every time I top off my tanks, I'll reset this one. And that way I can kind of gather how many miles I've been on the fuel I have, because sometimes when you're going in the mountains and you got a lot of weight, you burn more fuel and it gets harder and harder to keep track of. Or you could just use the fuel needle and use D as the miles you did for the whole week. That's what I was doing, but there's really no point in that, So I kind of switched back to using this one for fuel. Turn this light on here. Here we go. So that's just something I do with my trip meter. It helps me keep track of my miles, and plus you can start playing little games with yourself. Like when I leave, I try not to stop, for a certain amount of miles, and if I stop before then, well, then I'm like, well, I have to go farther before I stop again. Or, just make a little game out of it or something. But that's just something I do to keep track of, different sorts of miles. It's just good to do because you don't want to not keep track of stuff. It's just kind of helps you with your trip planning and all that, because you're like, oh, well, I have this many miles to go, or I've driven this many miles today. Or you might plan it out, I'm only going to drive 300 miles on this day, and once you hit 300 miles, well, that's when you park. But it's got a couple different uses. But I'm gonna go to sleep now, so as always, be safe. Be safe out there, and be water, my friends.